Hey now, this is episode 9 of the Bits for You podcast. This is a wrestling edition episode, seeing as how WrestleMania 33 is this Sunday, April 2nd. We have a special guest, the creator of Pro Wrestling Scorecards. Daniel is joining us for this episode. We have some discussions about WrestleMania 33, predictions, and obviously Q&A of the Pro Wrestling Scorecard that he created. He has a Twitter at PW Scorecards, and he also has a Facebook. It's also a Facebook. You can find him at PW Scorecards or Pro Wrestling Scorecards. And you can also support him on Patreon, patreon.com/PW Scorecards. On Daniel's Twitter at PW Scorecards, you'll have links to download these scorecards and have fun with your friends and family. It's very easy to use, so I think you guys will enjoy it. He was a very cool dude to talk to, and I really hope you enjoy the conversation we had with Daniel from PW Scorecards. All right, I'll do it. All right, so today we're here with Javier and Daniel from PW Scorecards at Twitter. Actually, what's the Twitter handle? PW Scorecards. Oh, that's it. Got it right. And we're going to be talking about WrestleMania. Daniel, where are you from exactly?
I'm actually based out of Las Vegas.
Oh, Nevada. That's cool. Have they had any WrestleManias in Las Vegas recently?
Long time ago. I think WrestleMania 9 was in Vegas. I think that was the one and only time it was here, I believe.
That's when they were wearing the, it was like a Roman setup, right?
Yeah, they did it in front of the Caesar's Palace.
Yeah, that one. There you go. Man, that's a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to why they haven't gone back. Maybe it's something to do with the city not allowing it or something, because they have the capacity to do it.
Actually, right now, that's the challenge, is we don't have the capacity to do it.
Really?
Our largest arena that we have would be the T-Mobile Arena, and that seats about 20,000.
Uh-huh.
We don't have a true stadium here yet, although we're currently looking at bringing the Raiders here, which would potentially get us a stadium the size to hold Mania. So
right.
I'm crossing my fingers that means a future Mania in Vegas.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, that'll help the economy even, like a lot, extremely.
Yeah, every time WrestleMania goes to a town, they raise the, because everything's getting taxed, and they get a bunch of tax money during that, like millions during that weekend. So it's a big boost to the city. So for every year, the cities are actually competing for hosting WrestleMania. You don't actually have to W doesn't actually have to try real hard.
Yeah.
There are people who want them.
I recently heard somebody at a different podcast talking about the in Chicago, but that they talked to the hotels, and Chicago hotels, they all agreed that they could handle the capacity for the extra people that are going into the city, but that the city themselves said no to actually hosting a WrestleMania there.
That's weird.
The guy didn't go into detail as to why they couldn't do it in Chicago. But my guess is that the city just doesn't want to deal with the traffic or the extra people.
That's weird. Yeah, I don't know. Like last year, it was in Dallas, where I'm at, and that stadium is good to go. 100,000 supposedly showed up for that, and next year. Well, this year it's going to be in Orlando, and then next year it'll be in New Orleans.
Daniel, have you been to WrestleManias recently?
Yeah, I went 2 years ago to the one in San Jose.
And
WrestleMania 31, I believe it was.
Was that your first one, or you've been before?
That's actually my only one.
Oh, okay. So you and I have something in common. I've only been to one. The one in Orlando, which not the one that was in 2008. Javier, is that correct, or 09? I think it was 08.
Was it 24? I think it was 24.
Yeah. So
that's the one with Ric Flair.
Yes. So that's 2008. I think. Yeah. if I'm correct. How was the one in San Jose? How was that WrestleMania for you?
You know what? It was a great experience. We actually did the travel package that WWE offers. So, we
Right.
got tickets to Mania, Raw. We went to the NXT show there as well. And overall, the event itself, I honestly don't remember most of the matches. I remember the entrances better than the matches at this point. But the overall weekend is just such a great experience. Getting to see all those events, seeing the Hall of Fame ceremony,
Right.
just the energy that's there, the number of people, like it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. When I went with Javier in WrestleMania 24, it was the same feeling. It just the energy there. It's just insane. Everybody's so nice and welcoming. People from the town and even the fans that are attending.
Yeah, it's a lot of hardcore fans. They usually are nicer. So, I mean, not all the time. I remember one year I had to sell my third ticket, and it was just some local guy, and he was actually pretty nice. This is back when WrestleMania was in New York.
And how was it for you, Javier, in Dallas? The WrestleMania.
That one was different because all the other ones I had to travel to. This one, was right here. I did go to an NXT. That was my first time going to a wrestling show outside of WrestleMania, and WrestleMania weekend. I have made it to like the Raw after, but first time like before. I've never been to the Hall of Fame. That would be pretty cool to go to once. I was gonna ask you about Daniel, about the travel package. Like, how many? Is it like just ringside, or is it like a few rows afterwards? How does that work out?
Well, when you buy them, there's several choices for like the level. So I think it was platinum, gold, silver, right? So the platinums were ringside tickets. The gold was a few rows back. The silver was, basically on the first set of risers there. That's the package that I chose. I like sitting a little bit above the ring. I'm not a big fan of ringside. I feel like you lose a little bit of it, especially at Mania. I want to be able to see everything that's going on. So, but they give you, those tickets. They give you tickets to the Raw after. Hotels covered. We didn't get tickets to NXT for that one, although I think that is included now. That one was just a random show they did that wasn't even announced until a few days beforehand. And they give you tickets to the Hall of Fame ceremony. So it's a pretty good. It's a good deal, actually.
Like, airlines are not included or anything like that, right?
No, airfare is not included at all.
Yeah, that WrestleMania, I went to it too, and that NXT show, I don't know if they knew it would sell like that. Because I remember going to the one in New Orleans, and NXT was just part of Access, and I remember watching like Paige and Bayley having a match, and Charlotte, and I'm like, now obviously they're in WrestleMania and they're big headliners, but NXT was just part of Access, and I think it's still sort of part of Access, just they don't put anyone that's a big mainstay. So I think they noticed, okay, people are really into this, we can make money. When I went to that NXT show, I bought it. Almost when it went on sale, and barely got in. I got like nosebleed, but for nosebleed for that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I was the same. I was in the very last row you could sit in, but it was still great seats. And I feel like that was like, that event was probably the indicator to them that they had something big, because I feel like it was right after that we really started to see NXT tour around. Like, I think that was their first big eye-opener.
Yeah, because I think I sold out within minutes or something.
Yeah. And that was a great show, too.
Yeah. So this year's WrestleMania, which will be in Orlando, we have most of the card. I don't think they're adding. So far, we have like 12 matches listed.
Yeah, it's about 12 last time I checked.
Yeah, I don't know if they're adding any more. But so far, what are your thoughts on which match do you expect to be the killer, or the sleeper of the night?
Oh, the sleeper match. I'm going to go with probably the Cruiserweight match, actually. I feel like they put on such an amazing performance at Fastlane. And I think Neville and Austin Aries are going to put on probably the match of the night. I'm hoping they're all great matches, of course, but I think that one is going to be the one that stands out.
Yeah, I'm sure Austin Aries really wants to make an impact. This is his chance.
Right.
And Neville, I can't remember if this is actually his first WrestleMania. It might be. If he was involved, it was nothing minor. It was probably something minor. Here, he's a champion, and he's been pushed really well. And he's facing Austin Aries, who's brand new into the Cruiserweight division. and a lot of I don't say build because he was the commentator for quite a while, but people were really behind him. They loved him in commentating, and obviously he's just a great talent. So I'm really excited for that match too. I think Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. That's not a sleeper, but I think people expect a good match out of that one too.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping that would be higher up in the card. Neither of them are champ. Well, Jericho is the USA champ or US title holder, but sometimes I forget he's a champion.
Yeah, he doesn't defend that often. So
yeah, he didn't have anything in Fastlane besides showing up to interfere, distract KO. Ladies matches, I feel like are maybe just thrown together because both of them have multiple women. This is not a one-on-one. I feel like they just can't. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I'm actually a little disappointed in that, actually, because I feel like the women have been doing such an amazing job over the course of this year. And to throw both brands into, multi-women matches just feels like a waste.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the Raw women's match, which is Bayley as a champion, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax. They're all. I feel like that is the women's division. I know there's others, but those are the ones you see on TV almost all the time. And Flair and Sasha Banks were basically were just the focus for a long time there. Bayley would have maybe a match once in a while, and Nia Jax, just destroying jobbers here and there, or enhancement talent. So those two are basically the focus, and I kind of forgot about everybody else. And here it just feels like just threw everybody in that they care about in the division. Who else is in the division in Raw? Brooke. What's her name?
Dana. Yeah.
Dana Brooke. You're right. And who else is in there? Oh, Emma, who's never appeared.
Right.
And then SmackDown, I feel like they did a much better job with their women's division. At least everybody in their card, and the only people left out here, let's see, Naomi, who's injured. Nikki, who does have a match. She's in another match. We'll talk about that here soon. And I think that's the only two left out here. Everybody else here is in that match.
Yeah, I feel like that match is going to have some sort of surprise entrant to it. They're still leaving it very open with the statement of defend against all SmackDown women who are available. Like, that's still a very open statement for a potential Asuka call-up or somebody returning, somebody unexpected. I feel like they're leaving a little bit of surprise there, but also showing their hand at the same time by not just announcing the actual people in the match and just saying defending against all SmackDown women.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they'll go back to one of their divas like Kelly Kelly. The only reason I bring up Kelly Kelly is because they've been kind of promoting her, not promoting, but they've mentioned her a few times. So that could be one, which I'm not that excited about.
Do you want to see Bayley hold the title or someone else take it?
Oh, for the Raw?
Yeah.
I do hope Bayley keeps it. And for SmackDown, Becky Lynch is my favorite. So.
I would agree with both those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for any other announcer, I think Asuka. But if she comes in, then what does she do with the title? Like, does she lose it to Emma Moon in NXT? That's a match, right? Because I haven't seen NXT as much.
Ember Moon versus Asuka for the title at TakeOver. I think it'd be too obvious if she lost it and then she appeared on Mania. Like, but I also feel like
obvious.
I also feel like a potential is maybe even like an appearance from somebody like a Beth Phoenix, since we know she's going to be there. One last run in WWE ring and her Hall of Fame induction.
Is she even in ring shape? That's another question.
That's an excellent question that I do not have the answer to.
I know she's had kids. I don't know how many kids with Edge.
Yeah.
No clue on if she's in shape, can wrestle still. I don't even remember why she retired.
I mean, Goldberg can hardly wrestle, and he's at the top of the card. So.
Well, I don't know if they're going to have the Glamazon just destroy everybody. In the
Fair point.
But yeah, maybe she just show up and, I don't know, pose or something. But maybe we'll see her in the Hall of Fame, and she's like, wow, she's in great shape. She looks the same as she did years ago. Mhm. So I think the John Cena match, which is going to be John Cena and Nick versus The Miz and Maurice. That's another girl I forgot, Maurice, which is The Miz's wife. She hasn't really had a match in a while, but I don't know if I expect much out of her. But The Miz and Cena, I do think they'll have a great match, and hopefully, I hope The Miz gets a spotlight. But I have a feeling it would be the predictable John Cena win here. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like with Nikki's injury that she's working through, this might be her last time wrestling for a while, and Cena's going out for a little bit for his movie. So I feel like we're probably going to see a win out of them, going out on a high note. And then The Miz just gets put in a position still where he gets pushed under Cena, and it just is going to push him to be a bigger heel even. So I think that's good for him because that's what he does best.
Yeah, I mean, crazy enough, years ago, this was the main event for WrestleMania, The Miz versus John Cena.
Yeah.
The one that people kind of forget, the one in Atlanta. But
that was the one in 2011.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I do hope The Miz actually wins. I know John Cena is going out. That's why I think it will be helpful for The Miz to win, because then he could face whoever, maybe whoever wins between Bray Wyatt or Randy Orton. That way, he has a win, and he could be a threat to whoever's the champion. But I don't know if they're going to go that route. It could just be predictable. Cena wins, high note, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I'd like to see The Miz win, too, because I would like to see him back in that title picture. I think he deserves it. I think he is overlooked quite frequently. A remarkable talent, one of the best speakers they have. And I would like to see him back in that picture again.
Yeah, it's been too long, and I think last year and this year, he's really proved that he belongs in that main event picture. So another match here, since we kind of mentioned Bray Wyatt versus, I know we're jumping around, but Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton, that's another, that is the WWE Championship match, which I have a feeling might not close out the show. Because when you do your scorecards, I know you kind of try to put it in order from what I've seen. In this card, who do you think would actually go last?
I typically, when I'm ordering the scorecard, I typically order it by the order that WWE gives you on the website. So, and typically it's actually pretty close to accurate. And right now they're listing the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton as the final match. Whether that ends up there or not, I agree with you. That's debatable. I feel like they'll end with Goldberg Lesnar probably. But I hope they go on last. I'd like to see Bray Wyatt truly get a WrestleMania headline spot.
And that is their WWE Championship match. That is the title. Because Raw's title is kind of the secondary because it's a newer title. And also, depending on how long that match goes, I don't know if people want to see a 1 minute match as the last match, or people would rather see a longer match. That's another question.
Yeah, I think that's the one reason I think we're going to see Bray Wyatt and Orton go on last, is because I feel like that Goldberg-Lesnar match is not going to be a long match. It's going to be very anticlimactic, I feel. I'm not sure Goldberg is as much as they're selling him as a beast just like Lesnar, I don't think he's capable of putting on a match that lasts any longer than 3 or 4 minutes.
He got a concussion from hitting the door.
I was going to ask both of you, would you guys like to see Bray Wyatt hold the title or Randy take it?
I do want to see Bray hold it and be a strong champion. He hasn't had it for that long, so I would like to him to hold it. I mean, Orton's held that title, I think it was 11 or 12 times, some number up there. He doesn't really need it, so I would love.
Oh, sorry, I feel like Bray Wyatt's been working so hard to get this title for so long. And he finally has it, and to take it away from him so quickly, I think would be a strange move, especially since he's so over. And I feel like he would have a very strong run. They can continue down this path of the Wyatt family breaking up, getting back together, storyline that they're doing, and and hands down, he is probably the best promo giver that they have on the roster right now. Between him, Cena, and Miz, I don't think anybody else even holds their own against him. So I feel like he is a draw for them. I feel like having the title on him is a positive for them. Everybody loves him. And Orton, to your point, I feel like he's held the title so many times. I quite honestly am sick of seeing Randy Orton. So I'm definitely for Bray winning that.
That's good.
So for the Goldberg and Lesnar match, I'm totally expecting Brock to win here, and then face someone in SummerSlam. I don't know who. I guess Roman Reigns. I don't know who. But any predictions for that match?
You know what? They've confused me a bit with the way they've handled Goldberg since he's been back. So anything is possible. But I'm thinking Lesnar probably is going to take that win and go on to SummerSlam probably against Reigns, or I would even imagine possibly Kevin Owens, since we just saw them at Madison Square Garden, and that is a dream match of Kevin Owens. So I would hope we actually see a run between those two.
I heard that match. It was like a house show. That Brock beat him like in seconds, though.
Yeah, he took quite a few suplexes. It was actually longer than the Goldberg matches, but it was
Kevin
still.
Owens could actually bump.
Yeah.
And then the match everybody looks forward to, Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. That match, I don't know what to expect out of that match. What do you expect?
I honestly don't know where they're going with this. So there's multiple ways to look at it. This could be Taker's last match. He's not looking too hot. And do they let him end on a high note, or do they let somebody beat him to put that person over, right? And is that person the right person? Roman Reigns? Like, I'm not sure. I don't think Roman Reigns deserves the negative response he gets all the time. I do think he's talented. Most of the matches he's in are exceptionally good. But I do know that if he beats The Undertaker, they're going to get a response like when Batista won the Royal Rumble. Like, I don't see that going well for them. So I imagine Undertaker's going to go over on this one.
Yeah, I'm also a Roman Reigns fan, and if he wins this match, this should be like his heel turn. Like he cheated to win or something, which I still have my doubts he'll turn heel. People have been wanting it to turn heel for over a year now. I don't know if they'll ever do it or anytime soon at all. I kind of joked with my friends that the Roman Reigns will beat The Undertaker and then take his soul and become the new Undertaker. That will receive so much heat. He would be booed out of the building. It'll be awesome.
That would be great. That's actually the exact ending I was hoping for when Bray Wyatt and Undertaker fought at the Mania that I was at. I was really hoping like Bray Wyatt would go over and just, more or less, I wouldn't say become the new Undertaker, but in spirit become that new person, because the character-wise they're so close. I thought that would be an awesome ending to that. Roman Reigns becoming the Undertaker, I think would freak people out. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be definitely, if they wanted to get him heat, that would be the way to go.
I mean, people would leave the building.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we've gone through there's the Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose match, and then the tag team match. Actually, the SmackDown tag team match, I don't think there's one set right.
There's three things missing on the card right now that I feel like there's still going to be added. A SmackDown tag match is probably going to be on there. I feel like they need to get a few more of the 205 guys on there, even if in pre-show. And then also the Triple H Seth Rollins match isn't officially on the card yet, so
it's gonna be unsanctioned.
Yeah, I mean they'll still list it as a match though, as long as he signs that that what did they call that hold no harm
something.
Yeah.
So I want to say no holds barred, but it's not no holds barred. It's like barred. I forget.
Something about harm. I don't remember the wording they used.
Yeah, something like that. We'll see. I mean, that match, if Seth Rollins is actually healthy, that actually could be a spectacular match.
Yeah, I agree. And then also, we don't have Samoa Joe on the card yet.
Well, I feel like he'll go after Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Or get involved with the Triple H match somehow.
Right.
And in the Memorial Battle Royal, the Enter the Giant, I guess Big Show will win again. I don't know. So unless this is a surprise.
Yeah, I mean they've only announced 4 people for that match so far. So there's still quite a few names that have not made their way in there yet. So we'll see on that one.
Yeah, and then just I guess to close out the Dean Ambrose and about WrestleMania, Dean Ambrose versus Baron Corbin. I feel like Baron Corbin actually needs to win this match, but I feel bad for Dean. He went from heavyweight champion to losing the Intercontinental Championship. So it's kind of weird situation.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Baron Corbin needs the win, and I feel like he's done a lot of work over the past year. I think he deserves it. Like it's his opportunity right now. But I do feel bad for Dean just constantly getting moved down the card at this point, especially with the other two former Shield members, basically on the top, of the mountain in their own respective areas. So maybe hopefully there's something bigger past this for him.
Yeah, I hope. I have no idea where this is going to go. And if Corbin won, I guess they could just have a rivalry going on, and that could be happening for a while, and then SummerSlam blow it off, and then they can move on. Dean could maybe go back to the main event picture. Who knows? But it's kind of weird for him to go back to the main event picture when he just lost the Intercontinental Championship to a rising talent.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. It puts him in a weird state. And he definitely deserves to be in the main picture.
I totally agree.
So we just talked about WrestleMania itself. This is WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. And Daniel here has the PW scorecard. Do you want to go into how that came up? When you started making it? What gave you the idea?
Yeah, actually, we had for a few years now, it's been the same few people coming to my house for every pay-per-view event. And, we always sit down, predict our match winners, and, yell at each other about things as the events progress. And, I went on the hunt online at some point to see if anybody else was like coming up with like an actual way to do the match predictions. And if you search Reddit, there's quite a few actual scorecards that are out there right now. We downloaded a few, played with them. Wasn't a huge fan. Some of them either asked questions that were very subjective, so you really didn't have a clear-cut winner, or not detailed enough. So we played with all those, and then for Money in the Bank, actually, which was actually here in Vegas last year, I couldn't find a scorecard for that one, so I just decided, hey, I'm going to make my own. And I made that. It wasn't the nicest looking thing. It's evolved since then. But I never really took it very seriously. I posted online for everybody to use. We had fun with it. It was more for my enjoyment than anything else. But then we had the Royal Rumble scorecard from this year, and I got a little over 6,000 downloads for that one. So at that point, I was like, you know what? I think I could probably make something out of this. And that's when, the name Pro Wrestling Scorecards came up, and we started the Twitter account and got the Patreon started. And, I'm working on a total redesign of the scorecards for WrestleMania and NXT this year to kind of separate myself even a little bit further from the designs that you currently see on Reddit. And I don't anticipate that I'm going to make anything huge out of this endeavor, but I do think I can do something with it. I enjoy doing the scorecards. I get a lot of messages from people that enjoy doing them. And as long as I like doing them, and as long as I get positive feedback, I'm going to keep making them happen.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
Robert,
So as long as you have that passion, you can continue doing it, and might as well share it with people as well, as you said.
Right.
So Robert's more of a casual fan. And so he hasn't actually, I don't think have you played the scorecard game yet?
I plead the fifth.
So you're more of a casual fan. When you look at this scorecard, do you have any, are you lost or have any questions?
I was just looking at it right now. It's very easy to follow. It's, as long as you can read, you should have no issue using the scorecard.
Yeah, when I started using it, one of the first confusions I had was about the extra points. So when you have if you predicted the winner and you got the points, to me, okay, you got to get the bonus. But then if the person lost, then do you get the extra points? At first I didn't do it, but then the second time I started counting them anyway. So let's say in Fastlane you had Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax. Actually, I forgot who won. It was Nia Jax. Sasha Banks. So Sasha Banks won. Let's say I predicted Nia Jax to win, but I got everything else right in the extra points. Do I still get the extra points?
Yeah, we set up the extra point system to. My thought process was, and most of the scorecards that I've found online do the same similar system, but I changed the point values a little bit to make it more. Even if you chose the loser, you could still make up ground by getting the rest of the pieces of the match right. So, it's a catch-up mechanic more or less. So that way, what was happening if you didn't count the extra points was anybody who got the winning match correctly got so far ahead of everybody else that there was no catching up from a point perspective. So the extras kind of give a little bit of a catch-up mechanic for people that are not predicting the match correctly, but can predict the actions in the match a little bit better.
Okay, gotcha. Because because it says extra, so I would think, well, maybe I should. I mean, I'm thinking more of bonus because I thought you had to get the winner, but that actually makes sense in the score mechanic. Because an example, I keep on losing. I lost to my fiance twice in a row, and I watch it a lot more than she does. But sometimes she just gets she might predict the winner wrong, but she might have gotten like all the extras right, and then that makes it still neck and neck kind of game.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. So I was just gonna say, so it does provide a chance to, even though you predicted the wrong winner, you could still really pretty much catch up with all the extras. And you could actually, I've seen it. I've done it myself where you say Sasha Banks is going to win, but then you put, oh, she's going to get pinned or something. So you kind of taking less risk here and trying to get some points if you're completely wrong on the prediction.
Right. There's a little bit of strategy to the picking on the extras to try to protect yourself if you pick the match, winner incorrectly. I'm also looking at pulling away from some of the yes/no questions a little bit, just so there's not as many on the card, because there is kind of like a 50-50 shot of getting those points. So even if you have no idea what is going on, you have a 50% chance of getting those points anyways. I realized this when my son actually played for the past 2 pay-per-views, and he beat 2 of the people that were playing with us, and he has literally no idea what is going on. It was just pure guessing. So, I'm looking at eliminating some of the questions that are very easy to just guess on, and getting a little more specific. Because I feel like in tag matches, the who makes the fall, who takes the fall piece, the percentage, the odds of you getting that on accident are pretty slim. Even predicting the number of finishers, stuff like that, it's a little harder to just guess a random number and get that right. But anything that is yes or no, obviously, has a very easy opportunity to get a correct answer without any background knowledge whatsoever. So, I'm constantly getting feedback from people and adjusting as I get that to make the scorecard as the best it can be.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I'm okay with the yes and no's, but yeah, it's some kind of balance of them. Like the clean finish, I forget, it was Royal Rumble. There was a lot of those. Was it? I forget which one. But it's some of them might be so people understand. So let's say Fastlane. I'm using that as an example again. When you have a cruiserweight match, you'll put number of aerial moves executed. So sometimes people I think I've seen someone ask you on Twitter before. Just wanted to go into this so people understand this, since we're going to have a cruiserweight match for WrestleMania. They have to actually have, when you're saying executed, they have to have got off the top rope or over the top rope or off the turnbuckle and actually have landed their move, or they do not have to, they say they miss. Does that still count?
So the way that one's a little bit less clear, and I realize that, than say the number of finishers one, because the number of finishers question is clearly about actually executing the finisher, right, and not getting it reversed or somebody pulling out of it. The aerial one is a little more I guess subjective. So I leave some of this up to the users to decide how they want to handle it with their group. But we count personally here. We count any moves that go off the rope, through the rope, or over the rope. Whether they successfully hit them or not, we're going to count them as an aerial maneuver. But like I said, that's one of the ones that, I have gotten questions on that one. It's a little unclear. I'm trying to figure out how I can word that differently, so we can make that adjustment and make it a little clearer.
Yeah, like you mentioned the finishers. Sometimes I forget who the secondary finishers for people. I know you have it in the little the scorecard. Well, where you would put the number of times you would guess. But the problem is then you might write over it. So I'm kind of sometimes trying to dodge, let's say the Bayley versus Charlotte Flair match. I have to try to put it like right before because I forget. Actually, I forgot about the natural selection. I mean, I know she uses it, but I always think of the figure 8 leg lock.
Right. You know what?
So
I realized that during during Fastlane actually that was somewhat of a mistake there. So on the new design of the scorecard, there's actually a section at the bottom that is just I don't know what I'm titling it yet, but it's more or less like a note section where if a question has any sort of specific information like that, that question will have a star next to it or whatever, and you can reference that bottom list for the move list or whatever the case may be based on the question. That data will then now be on the bottom of the scorecard in a separate section, so it's easier to read too.
Yeah, great. That'd be a great addition because, yeah, like I mentioned, sometimes I forget, and actually sometimes I don't know if you can even do anything about this, but sometimes I even forget how the move looks like. Who was it? I think it was Naomi had a match with Alexa Bliss, and I was when I had to predict the finishers, I'm like, what is her finisher? I forgot Naomi's finisher. Right, so I think hers was just a moonsault or something like that. So I can pick it up, but sometimes maybe there's a wrestler you might not know that well, and then you're like, oh, what is their finisher? You might put, move X, but you might not even know how move like X looks like. Although to combat that, you do actually post after the match is over. You actually do post the number of finishers, I think, right?
Yeah, I've been since Elimination Chamber. I've been live tweeting the results as the show progresses. That has given people, clear answers on things, but also some people have caught me in mistakes, and I miss something, and they're able to correct me, and I correct the official results once I post them. So I'm gonna continue doing that, live posting on Twitter under the PW Scorecards Twitter account.
I think that's a good thing. You keep the fans, into it as well, and you're like you said, you they help you, and you make the changes necessary.
Right.
Yeah, and so let's see. Another one was actually the table bonus. So at first I thought, I think it was my fiance who did it. She just crossed them all out, and whenever it got knocked down, she's like, I got points. But then I realized, wait, if you guessed it correct, if it survived or not, you also got the points. Mm-hmm. I think you actually put it there, but at first, for some reason, I thought differently of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I got some feedback from, actually, I was listening to another podcast that was talking about the scorecard, and that's one of the ones that they brought up as well, is they were a little confused on how that works. So I'm going to work on some different verbiage for that for the WrestleMania release to make sure that's as clear as possible. Because a lot of people, when you hear that, they're like, I'm just going to pick them all because you'll get the most points that way, but that's not actually the case at all. So I do got to figure out how to word that in a way that it's very clear.
Yeah, because I think it was Royal Rumble or no, it was Elimination Chamber. My friend's like, that's when I realized, it's you got it right if you don't cross it out too, because then it survived, so you got 5 points. So I didn't even notice it till he mentioned it. So I guess the verbiage here, if you change it up, maybe that'll help. After he said it and I read it again, I'm like, I read this wrong. I don't know why I just didn't get it at first. And then another part of the scorecard is the unscheduled superstar appearances. So that could leave some questions there too. So let's talk about. I know you have like notes here, like you don't count the authority figures or trainers, or referees. But so what if someone let's say I predict Paul Heyman to show up, but he doesn't actually show up. He's just on the screen. He's doing some promo on the screen, but he never shows up out live in the by the ring or anything. Does that still count?
We left that one a little bit open because I was never able to determine what I wanted to count on that one necessarily. So this is another one of those like handle your group how you'd want to situations. But I am going to change verbiage on this one as well. We're going to count not only appearing in the ring, but even appearing in some sort of promo video backstage. However, not any sort of pre-records. So for instance, Paul Heyman Paul Heyman showing up in like some Brock Lesnar teaser video, we would not count. But Paul Heyman showing up backstage for an interview, we would count. So we're going to change the verbiage to indicate that as well on the new version of the scorecard.
Okay, that makes sense. That'd be great. What about the closing shot? So I actually had an argument about this where I can't remember what the closing shot was, but let's say, example, Randy Orton is doing his pose, on the top rope, and you see the WrestleMania logo closing in the background. and that's how it closes. But then you predicted that he would hold up the. Let's say you predict that he would hold up the title or something, and then he does that, but you put down he holds up the title. Does that not count, or has to be exactly the very last shot you see before they end the pay-per-view?
You know what? This is a question that gets the most actual response and questions sent to me, and it's actually one that we're going to eliminate from the scorecards going forward because it leaves so much room for interpretation. Like, there isn't. What is the closing shot of a pay-per-view? Is it the last 30 seconds? Is it the last 5 seconds? Is it literally the last frame of the pay-per-view? You know what I mean? Like, there's so much ambiguity to that question that we decided we're probably just going to go ahead and eliminate that for 2 reasons, actually. 1, because of that. 2, because we're currently working on a digital version of the scorecard as well, where it'll be a website-based one where you can fill it out and compete against everybody that's playing. And I have no really clean way of grading that question automatically because it is, left for people to write literally whatever they want in there. I have no clean way of referring to like a master answer and checking for correctness. So that one is you will not see that on the WrestleMania scorecard.
Is there anything replacing it?
Not that I've thought of yet, but I'm working through some ideas. Have any suggestions?
Yeah, as I said that, I've been thinking about it. It's kind of,
It's also a tough question because you don't even necessarily know what the last match is all the time. So it's just literally a guess. There is no logical way to know either what the last match is definitively going to be, if somebody's going to come out and interrupt in the match, and that person's going to be in the closing shot. There's so many variables there that I very rarely do I see people even get that question right.
Yeah, one that popped in my head is just like, which will be hard to track, so maybe not. But let's say you put, okay, how many times does Michael Cole says vintage tonight? Then you have to count how many times he actually said vintage throughout the night, which might be harder to track because, we're talking about, I don't know how long this pay-per-view, WrestleMania is probably be like, I don't know, 5 hours or with the pre-show. So that's going to be, I know it'll be really hard to track.
Yeah, I was thinking about for this particular pay-per-view, something around the New Day. We know we're going to see them frequently. As the hosts of the show, they will probably make a lot of weird backstage appearances and whatnot. So I'm trying to think of something I can link to them that would be a good, total event question. I have not come up with what that is yet, but I think that would be what I go for. Something like what you said would work for one of the shorter pay-per-views. Yeah. But yeah, this one last year, WrestleMania ran almost 8 hours. I felt like it's a lot of tracking.
Yeah, when I got to the stadium, they started. Must have been like 10% of people in the seats. People were not expected to start that early, and it lasted. I can't remember how many hours. It must have been like 6-7 hours. It was crazy. But for the New Day thing, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if you want to put this there, but predictions of references to Paige. I don't know if they actually would do that. They sort of very lightly did in Raw. When I say lightly, I do mean lightly. It was, I think Big E was telling Xavier Woods, "Oh, you had an exciting weekend, didn't you?" kind of thing.
That's funny.
So they probably won't really get into that. So maybe that's not a good one. But I don't know, something with ice cream maybe. They're really going on with that.
Yeah, I mean, it could be how many times the ice cream is mentioned, how many times they say the word "who." Like, I don't know. There's there's a million ways I could go with it. I'm trying to figure out a good one. If I can't, I don't know if I'll replace the question or not. I mean, there's already going to be on the card right now. We have 12 matches. I am anticipating we're going to get to 14. It's already at the point where I'm at put the card on 2 pages this time, which is the first time I've had to do that. So I might just say the question's not there maybe for Mania, and then reevaluate what to do to replace it for what's after that, Payback.
Yeah, I think I think you're right. I think it's Payback. I guess one more question on the scorecard here. I forgot to mention it, but I think it's pretty noticeable. I say noticeable. I mean, you could figure it out. The number of finishers you put like a plus -1 next to it. So I'm assuming if you say 5 finishers, but there's 4, you still get the extra credit for that, right?
Yeah, that's correct. People were having a very hard time getting an exact number, so we had to, loosen it up just a little bit to kind of give them a range, and people have seemed to like that a lot better. Although it has, generated some questions. I have not figured out a way to word that one better. Like, there's really not a whole lot of room in that box to get any more more clear.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe some kind of putting estimation or approximate, or I don't know, some kind of. I think the plus minus makes sense to me, and that's why I said, "Oh, this makes sense to me." Just making sure.
Right.
Maybe that's one of those things you maybe mention in the notes, just to make sure people understand that. I got it, but just making sure other people know.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. The notes seem like a good place for that.
Yeah, and I actually lost my train of thought. I think I was gonna ask about relating to this question about the finishers, was what if Kevin Owens did the Walls of Jericho? Would that count?
You know what? That is actually a great question. I mean, technically, the Walls of Jericho would be listed there as one of the counting finishers because he is facing Chris Jericho. So I would say yes. I would say if they pulled out a random finisher that had nothing to do with the match, for instance, if he did a
DDT.
Yeah, whatever. Anything else, a Stone Cold Stunner, because he's done that before. I'd say that would not count. But since it is a listed move for the match, that is for his opponent, I would say it absolutely counts. Yes.
Yeah, if it's your opponent, because I made the joke with my friend when we were playing this about the DDT. Like, well, this is Jake the Snake's finisher, right? This is when I first started. Obviously, you list out the moves and everything, but that's just. It's funny to just see the finishers because you expect them to do it a lot. Sometimes they won't do it as much as you think, and just funny to see what moves are now finishers too, like the super kick, another great move that's being, I don't want to say abused, but it is used a lot now.
Right.
I don't know who does not use the super kick. I guess
I can't remember what match it was, but it was at Elimination Chamber. I'd have to look back at the scorecard, but there was actually a match where the finisher question was on there, and I typically, the questions I put on there for a reason. Like, I put outside interference because there's somebody that could potentially interfere. I put finishers because in the marquee matches they tend to hit them a lot, right? Like, but there was one, and it was at Elimination Chamber, I believe, and they didn't hit a single finisher in the whole match, and it threw me off entirely. I can't remember what match that was though.
Yeah, I think. I can't remember.
I can't remember what it was.
It must have been something where it was a DQ, and they just never get to that point.
Oh, I think it actually had a clean finish with a pin. Even. I don't remember what it was though.
Oh wait, I think maybe this is it. Was it? No, was that Elimination Chamber? No, it was No Mercy. Man, which pay-per-view was it? Oh, Table Letters, TLC. It was Becky Lynch versus Alexa Bliss. I don't think there was a finisher because it was just go put the person through a table.
Right. Oh, I remember which one it was. Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns at Royal Rumble.
Wait, they had no finishers?
It was a no DQ match. They didn't execute a single finishing move during that match.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. They did a lot of great moves with the the brass knuckles, the move off the turnbuckle through the table, the tower of chairs that Owens went through, but not a single no spears, no pop-up powerbomb, no nothing.
It's like Kevin Owens saying "F you." No, any wrestlers don't do 10 finishers in a match.
Yeah, and it was still a great match.
Yeah. Well, I think that answers all my questions for the scorecards. Unless you, Robert, have any questions.
Not at this moment.
Cool. So you want to say any closing statements about the scorecard, Daniel?
Yeah, I'd just like to say we'll be rolling out the scorecard for WrestleMania on the 29th, which is a Wednesday, I believe. Yes. It'll be coming out the 29th before noon. The NXT scorecard will be coming out on the 30th before noon. And that's typically the schedule that I go with for the scorecards. It comes out by noon the day after the last relevant TV airing. So, a Raw only pay-per-view, I'll get them out on Tuesday. SmackDown only, I'll get them out on Wednesday. Mixed, I'll get them out on Wednesday. And then NXT on Thursday, typically. So for Mania, it'll be posting on the 29th. You guys already mentioned you can get it from Twitter at PW Scorecards. That's on Twitter, Facebook, and also Patreon. I've gotten my first patron on Patreon, which I'm super excited about. So I'd like to see some more support on there. That'd be awesome. And then I'll be live tweeting results for both NXT and WrestleMania on that same PW Scorecards account. And last time we had some great conversation between all the people that were watching and myself. I'd like to keep that up, and I'd like to continue growing the community. So go ahead and give me a follow, and then we'll, we can talk during those pay-per-views.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I'm gonna post this maybe on Reddit and just to get more people involved too, and they can listen to this podcast to get much more details. I guess you mentioned the digital version earlier. When can people expect that?
That's gonna take me a while. I gotta be honest. I'm kind of waiting to see one thing. I had a really good response, as I mentioned earlier, with the Royal Rumble scorecard. I had a little bit less of a download count for both Elimination Chamber and Fastlane. However, they were both single brand pay-per-views. There wasn't any super marquee matches on there. So I'm kind of waiting to see what WrestleMania does. If I get a huge download count on WrestleMania again, I'm gonna start fast tracking everything to try and get this done as fast as possible. If I get a moderate response on WrestleMania, I'm still gonna keep everything moving forward, but I'm gonna take a little more slow and steady approach to getting it done to make sure I'm getting it done perfect and continue to build up the followers as I work through building that digital version. So I would say at earliest I would get that up and running by probably SummerSlam.
Okay, yeah, and if anybody wants to get any updates on that, you can follow them on Twitter at PW Scorecards with an S in the end. Well, thank you for showing up and talking to us about WrestleMania.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
What did I tell you? Daniel was a cool dude. Great conversation. Lots of fun talking about WrestleMania and his pro wrestling scorecards. Very easy to follow. You guys should definitely check that out. Again, it's PW Scorecards on Twitter, Facebook, and support him on his Patreon, patreon.com/PW Scorecards. You can also follow our show at Bits for You Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and email us, bitsforyoupodcast@gmail.com. Any questions? There's something you want us to discuss on a future episode, whether it's wrestling related, MMA, movies, film, TV, games, life. Send us your questions to bitsforyoupodcast@gmail.com or to our Twitter and Facebook. I'm going to have links to Pro Wrestling Scorecards on the description of this episode. Thank you for listening.